The 33rd degree of understanding reveals secrets once protected by ancient teachers, now calling to those prepared to awaken. As you hear these words, you will learn how to harness the creative current of existence and find the route to highest self-mastery. This wisdom was offered for you. Across ages, faint murmurs of sacred insight have traveled through time, carried by those who penetrated the deepest mysteries of being. Within these lines lies teaching that surpasses centuries, pointing to the true structure of reality and your place within it. The elders spoke of the 33rd degree not as mere facts to be memorized, but as a living power that changes anyone who receives it. This knowledge is the peak comprehension of cosmic laws, the essential principles that steer all formation. Just as a master artisan fashions raw matter into beauty, these instructions will help you shape the very texture of your life. You stand at a doorway of revelation. The cosmos has guided you to this moment, a crossroads between what has been and what may come. The wisdom contained here has been protected across generations by those who saw its capacity to awaken humanity's sleeping potential. The 33rd degree teaches the core truth that you are not separate from the creative current of existence. You are part of it. This awareness opens doors to manifestations many think impossible, yet these possibilities have always existed, awaiting recognition by those prepared to receive them. As you move through these teachings, you will find that the ability to direct your destiny has always lived inside you, like a universal key that opens every lock. These teachings show how to attune yourself to the boundless intelligence that arranges the cosmos. The hour has come to step into your sacred inheritance. These practices will light the road to mastery over life's conditions, teaching you how to convert limiting beliefs into boundless potential. The ancients held these secrets, and now they beckon you to take your rightful place among those who understand reality's true nature. Begin this path by widening your awareness to the limitless possibilities that await. The journey of transformation begins now. Long ago, in a city of old, a young apprentice called Thomas found a hidden doorway behind an aged tapestry. Guided by the dim glow of his lamp, he descended weathered stone steps into a great vault filled with scrolls and writings. Despite cautions to stay away from the forbidden archive, an invisible force drew him forward. When he unrolled the first scroll, golden marks seemed to shimmer before his eyes. Night after night he returned, absorbing wisdom that challenged all he had assumed. The writings did not teach elaborate rites or cryptic recipes, but simple truths that had always surrounded him. The power of a smile, the rhythm of breath, the space between thoughts. These ordinary moments carried extraordinary weight. The cosmos whispers, never shouts. Its deepest secrets are not hidden in remote sanctuaries, but in the quiet movements of daily life. Every breath holds instruction, every sunset reveals insight, and every exchange contains a seed of understanding. When you learn to perceive with renewed sight, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The pattern of the universe is woven into life itself, waiting for those who pause long enough to notice. These discoveries require no special credential or mystical initiation, only the willingness to observe with wonder. In a realm called Meridia, a wandering wise woman named Amara traveled from settlement to settlement. When a troubled ruler sought her counsel, she offered not elaborate schemes but a simple invitation: observe the morning dew. The emperor, intrigued, watched each dawn as droplets formed on leaves, noting how they gathered, swelled, and fell in perfect timing. He saw that the same rhythm existed across his realm, cycles of growth, completion, and release. By aligning his governance to those natural rhythms, His land prospered not through force but through harmony. Like that ruler, you are surrounded by living instruction. Each moment contains teachings about the nature of existence and your role within it. Water's way of flowing around obstacles shows the path of least resistance. The oak tree teaches that strength comes from deep roots. The changing seasons reveal cycles of transformation. Begin revealing these hidden lessons in your own days. Each evening find a quiet spot and close your eyes. Let your mind drift back through the day's events and notice what caught your attention. The way sunlight filtered through leaves, the shift in mood brought by a stranger's kindness, the pause that opened a new thought. Write these observations without analysis, simply recording what you noticed. With daily reflection, patterns will surface like constellations emerging in the night sky. These patterns are the cosmos' whispered teachings, showing profound truths through simple experiences. What once seemed random takes on deeper meaning. A chance meeting becomes destiny's soft nudge. A moment of irritation becomes a lesson in patience. Your journal turns into a map of discovery. Each entry is a step toward deeper understanding, each observation a thread in the expanding tapestry of universal wisdom. In a mountain village, a craftsman shaped metal into designs that appeared to breathe. Spirals evoked the sweep of galaxies. Geometric forms echoed crystalline structures. Flowing lines resembled rivers seen from high above. Travelers came from afar to admire his pieces, yet few grasped their true meaning. One day an elderly woman stopped before a work and smiled, telling him he had captured the language of creation. He explained that each curve and angle mirrored the invisible laws governing all things. These universal principles flow through every element of existence, from the smallest particle to the largest star. Like rivers following their natural course to the sea, these principles guide the movement of life itself. Cause and effect ensures every action produces a reaction that ripples through reality. Correspondence reveals how patterns repeat across scales. Vibration shows that everything moves at its own frequency, creating harmony or discord. Understanding these laws transforms your relationship to life. Each thought, each spoken word, each deed sets forces in motion that shape your experience. These are not abstract ideas, but living rules that choreograph the dance of becoming. Out in a desert, a nomad learned to read the sky. Night after night he observed the stars until their movements revealed predictable sequences mirrored in bird migrations, flower blooms, and dune formations. The stars became a living map of fundamental principles. Once, lost in a storm, he recalled these patterns and trusted that natural laws would guide the storm's motion. By aligning himself to those rhythms he found safety. Like him, you can navigate life by the same eternal laws. When you align your actions with these principles, you move in harmony with the whole. Your manifestations flow naturally like water finding its way to the sea. For the next week, choose one universal principle, perhaps the law of cause and effect or reciprocity, and watch how it appears in your daily life. Notice how a kind word produces goodwill, how gratitude draws more reasons to be thankful, how a gentle smile returns threefold, or how patience turns a difficulty into growth. Record these observations carefully, noting how the law affects your relationships, your work, and your inner peace. Through this practice you begin to perceive the invisible structure shaping all creation, and to see yourself as a master builder within that grand design. The power dwelling in your mind begins with quiet attention. In a remote mountain monastery, a monk named Chen devoted years to meditation, seeking to know reality's true texture. Each morning he sat before a massive stone that blocked the path to the valley below. Other monks accepted its presence and walked the long way around, but Chen regarded the stone differently. Day after day he meditated upon it, understanding that the obstacle first existed as a thought before taking form in stone. He realized that the same mental force that had allowed the boulder to be perceived could, through unwavering focus and absolute resolution, move it. Chen refined his consciousness until thought and matter blurred, and one morning, as naturally as water flows downhill, the stone shifted and a clear path opened. Your thoughts carry this same creative potency. Each idea you hold shapes your experience, molding circumstances as surely as a potter shapes clay. When you grasp this truth, you see the mind as the architect of life's events. Every achievement, every manifestation begins as a single thought nurtured by intention and steady focus. In a distant hamlet, a farmer named Shen watched his fields yield poor crops year after year despite hard labor. Night after night he toiled in worry, and his harvests reflected the scarcity he feared. Then, in a dream, an elder told him that his fields grew from the seeds sown in his mind before they sprouted in the soil. Awakened, Shen recognized that his thoughts were planted in patterns of doubt and lack. He began to cultivate new inner seeds of abundance, visualizing heavy, golden sheaves and feeling the gratitude of a full harvest as if it were already present. Gradually, his land responded. The next yield was the most generous the village had ever seen. Like Shen's fields, your life mirrors the thoughts you tend. Shift the inner terrain and the outer world will follow. Each morning set aside 5 minutes of stillness. In this quiet, choose one desire to bring to life. Hold it not as a future possibility but as a present reality. Feel its joy, its satisfaction, the warmth of its completion. Engage every sense so the vision is as tangible in your mind as the ground beneath your feet. This practice plants the seed of manifestation in the fertile soil of consciousness. Everything in creation vibrates. In a valley where music seemed woven into the air, a musician named Ravi played a sacred instrument carved from ancient wood. When he performed, flowers turned toward the sound, birds wove themselves into the melody, and even the wind seemed to dance. Ravi's genius lay not in technique alone, but in the understanding that every entity resonates at a unique frequency. Thoughts, emotions, and desires each emit patterns that ripple outward into existence. These vibrations attract circumstances that match their tone. Like tuning forks that respond only to a matching pitch, you draw to you people, places, and events that harmonize with your dominant inner state. Maintain a frequency of joy and abundance and opportunities will flow. Let fear or doubt cloud your vibration and challenges will multiply. On a treacherous coastline, an old lighthouse keeper named Thomas tended his beacon through storms. Ships found their way to safety under the steady beam because he maintained its signal even when nature raged. When an apprentice asked how he kept the light constant, Thomas said the storm may rage but the light must remain true to its frequency. Your emotional state functions as such a beacon. When you sustain positive feelings, gratitude, enthusiasm, love, you broadcast a signal that draws matching experiences to you. Emotions are not merely reactions, they are creative forces shaping reality. Begin a daily journal to track your vibrational state. Each evening note your dominant feelings and the events they drew. Over time you will see a clear connection between inner tone and outer circumstance and learn to adjust your state to align with desired outcomes. In a misty forest, a traveler named Maya became lost when compass and map failed. She discovered that each time she turned toward a direction that felt warm in her chest, the path cleared. Trusting that inner warmth, she found safety, and eventually came upon a clearing where an illuminated crystal pulsed with the same feeling. Emotion is a language the cosmos understands. Joy, love, gratitude, and clarity emit fields that magnetize experiences matching their energy. Thoughts alone are often insufficient. It is the feeling that ignites creation. When Sophia, a village healer, shifted from purely technical remedies to a practice guided by heartfelt compassion, her touch became transformative. She infused her work with feeling and healed more deeply than before. Let your intentions be charged by genuine emotion. Create an affirmation that speaks to your deepest longing and feel it completely each morning. Allow the emotion to flood your body and energize your intention so it resonates with the universe's creative current. A temple housed a mirror unlike any other. Those who peered into it did not see their outward form but the landscape of their inner life. A merchant named Raza approached expecting to glimpse his fine robes, but instead saw storms of worry, thorny vines of fear, and dark shadows of doubt. Shaken, he began clearing his thoughts until the mirror returned an image of gardens blooming where wasteland had been. Your external world reflects your inner state with unerring fidelity. Every relationship, event, and circumstance functions as a mirror, revealing the patterns you hold within. When you encounter discord, look inward first. Your perceptions and emotions send ripples into your life. Change begins by tending the inner garden. A gardener named Amara inherited barren land yet envisioned lush growth. Each morning she tended the soil with care, speaking to it, nourishing it with faith. Tiny shoots emerged, followed by leaves and flowers, and in a season her plot blossomed into abundance. This transformation illustrates a fundamental law. Change begins as an inner vision. By cultivating belief and attention, you redesign what appears in the world. Find a quiet moment to identify one recurring challenge that occupies your life. Sit undisturbed and ask what thoughts and feelings within you may have created or are sustaining this pattern. Allow insights to surface without judgment and take note. This inward inquiry reveals the seeds of transformation and grants you the power to reshape your reality from the inside out. Symbols hold a direct line to the subconscious. In an ancient stone temple, an apprentice traced markings that seemed to breathe. Night after night he studied until one moonlit evening the patterns began to speak. Spirals whispered cycles of growth, triangles hinted at divine balance, circles revealed wholeness. These signs were not mere ornamentation, but keys to unlocking deeper understanding within his mind. Symbols act as bridges between the visible and the unseen, conveying wisdom that language often fails to reach. When such a sign appears in your dreams, in nature, or during waking life, it carries a tailored message for your growth. The rising sun denotes new beginnings, flowing water signals continual movement, the mountain symbolizes achievement. Learn to read these archetypal patterns and you open a conversation with the deeper intelligence that shapes life. In a remote community, an elder taught children a morning ritual. Bare feet on the earth, 3 conscious breaths, and an expression of gratitude. Though simple, the practice anchored them to the natural rhythm of the world. Through consistent ritual, the villagers became more attuned to subtle guidance and to one another. The power of ritual resides in its constancy. Small, repeated acts performed with full awareness create sacred spaces in daily life where universal wisdom can enter. They need not be elaborate. A short moment of gratitude, a mindful breath before a meal, or a quiet reflection before sleep suffice. Choose a practice and perform it daily to create a stable conduit for insight. Within a fortress, a prisoner named Cairo traced carvings on his cell walls and learned to see beyond his confinement. One night he discovered the key to his escape hidden in the hem of his garment all along, placed there by someone who cared for his freedom. Many of the walls we perceive are woven from thoughts accumulated over time. I am not worthy, I cannot, I lack what it takes. These beliefs become the bars of a mental prison. Yet you already carry the means of liberation inside you. Each thought either reinforces the cage or begins to dissolve it. A bird in a golden cage, its door left unlocked, never learned to fly until a breeze nudged the latch and it discovered wings strong enough to carry it skyward. Identify one belief that has restrained you. Write it down, see it plainly as a thought rather than truth, and replace it with an empowering statement that reflects your real potential. Speak this new truth with feeling each morning and notice how the door within begins to open. Eyes that see beyond sight awaken deeper perception. A sage in distant mountains wore a blindfold not to block vision, but to develop inner sight. Through removing dependence on external cues, he learned to perceive the subtle currents that steer life. Patterns, coincidences, and synchronicities often dismissed as chance. These signs form a language. Recurring numbers, meaningful encounters, or sudden impulses can guide you if you learn to listen. A mariner once navigated stormy seas by sensing the unseen position of stars rather than relying on visible light. Likewise, cultivate moments of silence to notice the universe's nudges. Keep a journal of recurring themes, surprising alignments, and insights. Reflect on their meaning, and you will strengthen your inner compass. Trust that meaningful coincidences are not random but messages that, when heeded, point you toward your highest path. In the depths of practice, mental alchemy transforms difficulty into wisdom. A devoted alchemist labored over crucibles for years searching for a legendary stone to transmute base metal into gold. Exhausted, he surrendered into meditation and realized the true transformation was not of metal but of consciousness, converting the lead of negative thought into the gold of enlightened awareness. Every setback hides a seed of growth, every doubt holds the potential for certainty. Through awareness and intentional redirection, you can transmute fear into courage, scarcity into abundance, and limitation into possibility. Choose one recurring negative thought, examine its roots, and deliberately reshape it into an empowering belief. In doing so, you become the alchemist of your experience, turning mental lead into luminous possibility. The practice of attuning to the boundless intelligence begins with stillness. In a high mountain valley, a shepherd named Amara led her flock along narrow passes and steep ridges. One evening a sudden storm swept in and visibility fell to nearly nothing. Panic rose in her chest, yet she remembered an old teaching: be still and listen. She closed her eyes, calmed her thoughts, and in the roar of wind and rain perceived a faint, inner guidance. That subtle knowing, quiet, precise, and beyond ordinary senses, revealed a hidden path through the cliffs. Trusting the whisper, she led her flock to safety. The same infinite intelligence that guided Amara is available to you. It speaks in whispers rather than shouts. By cultivating silence and receptivity, you can access a timeless wisdom unbound by clock or place. In a busy marketplace, a musician named Thomas had lost his way. Night after night, his compositions felt empty and forced. Driven by frustration, he set aside his instruments and simply listened to life. The shuffling of feet, the cadence of sellers' calls, the rhythm of carts, the wind through awnings. Within that ordinary noise he heard a deeper harmony, a universal symphony always playing beneath daily life. From that day forward his music ceased to be manufactured, and instead became a channel for melodies already woven into existence. His work moved people because it resonated with the underlying pattern of reality. This same chorus underlies your experiences. When you quiet the urge to force solutions and instead become a receptive conduit, guidance and creativity flow through you with greater ease and authenticity. Sacred geometry reveals itself to those who watch nature with patient eyes. A master builder named Yara loved to wander through gardens and woods, studying the unfurling of ferns, the curling of shells, the branching of trees, and how a spider's web held morning dew like a dozen tiny suns. She recognized the same mathematical precision in petals, nautilus shells, and river meanders. These patterns are the language of creation, the spiral of growth, the circle of unity, the golden proportion that yields aesthetic balance. When she incorporated these principles into her designs, structures resonated with a hidden order that felt both natural and profoundly harmonious. The universe embeds these geometric truths into every form. Aligning your creations with them means you work with rather than against the inherent flow of life. Health and wholeness arise from energetic harmony. In a secluded valley, a healer named Amara discovered that recovery depended not solely on herbs and technique, but on the free flow of subtle energies through a person's body. She perceived streams of luminous currents that nourished vitality and realized that blockages manifested as illness, emotional distress, or stalled progress. Balancing these centers of energy restored vibrancy. Your physical being is encircled by an intricate field of energy, and each center influences your mood, relationships, creativity, and capacity to manifest. By attending to this field through mindful practices, you can prevent distress from taking root and keep your life aligned with natural health. Each soul carries a unique blueprint. A traveler named Karim once found an ancient scroll etched with interlaced symbols and pathways. At first it seemed a map of places, but as he studied it deeper he understood it mapped potential, not geography. It outlined a design for becoming, the talents, passions, and longings that, woven together, pointed toward a particular purpose. Your life's pattern emerges in what draws you so deeply that time disappears and in dreams that persist through doubt. These are signposts of your inner architecture, guiding you toward roles and expressions that feel like home. Sit in stillness, breathe into your heart, and ask what activities dissolve your sense of time. Note the threads that arise, things that bring joy, tasks you return to naturally, problems you instinctively solve. These fragments form the constellation of your destiny and invite you to align with them. The subconscious mind learns by repetition. An artist named Rumi discovered that his work was lifeless until he learned to paint first in his inner eye. Each morning he would sit and imagine the finished piece in vivid detail, feeling the emotions its presence would evoke. Over time his hands simply translated that inner image into reality. The subconscious is a fertile ground. Whatever beliefs and images you plant there will grow into the life you inhabit. To change your experience, you must feed the mind new patterns. Choose a clear, present-tense affirmation that feels both true and stretching, and repeat it with feeling each morning and evening for 21 days. Pair this with visualizations that engage the senses so the mind learns the new reality as if it already exists. Through steady repetition, the neural pathways supporting a new default emerge, and your inner landscape becomes the scaffolding for external transformation. Mastery lies in the dance between doing and letting go. A dancer named Maya trained with fierce discipline, yet found that her most moving performances came not from forcing technique, but from yielding to a flow beyond effort. She practiced rigorously and then surrendered to an inner impulse, allowing movement to arise spontaneously. This balance, clear intention paired with openness, applies to every creative endeavor. Act deliberately toward your goals, then release attachment to how outcomes must unfold. Like a gardener, you plant and tend, then you trust seasons and soil. Each day take a small inspired step toward a goal and then spend a few minutes releasing it, trusting the wider intelligence to arrange unseen details. This rhythm invites ease and accelerates manifesting. When your focus aligns fully with feeling and belief, manifestations can accelerate. A wanderer named Karim found a golden key that seemed to open not just doors but possibilities. The secret was not the metal but the state of being he maintained, clarity of vision, deep emotional resonance, and a willingness to surrender to perfect timing. When thought, feeling, and faith converge, perceived distance between desire and reality collapses. Practice living from the fulfilled state. Choose one specific desire, close your eyes, and experience it as if present now. Hear its sounds, feel its textures, taste its possibilities, and most importantly, embody the gratitude, contentment, and peace that would accompany its arrival. Dwell in this state daily until it becomes more real internally than any lack. In that space, the universe begins to rearrange circumstances to mirror your inner certainty. Creation is a perspective. A painter named Sophia sat before blank canvases and first lived the final work in her mind. When her vision became visceral, she painted, and the resulting pieces seemed to emerge already complete. A sculptor named Marcus saw birds inside rough stone where others saw only flaws. He carved patiently, removing what hid the form until the eagle seemed ready to lift from its perch. The power to transform reality begins with a shift in perception. Train your eyes to see not the obstacle but the potential hidden within raw material. Close your eyes, choose a present difficulty, and imagine the masterpiece contained within. Hold that image with feeling each day and watch how raw elements rearrange to reveal beauty. Collective intention amplifies personal power. In a mountain valley, disparate families survived by isolation until an elder taught them to unite. Shared gardens, pooled skills, and mutual support created abundance exceeding what each could achieve alone. Our intentions, when combined, become a current that reshapes communities and elevates individual reach. Seek or form a group of aligned individuals, people whose aims harmonize with yours, and create regular times to synchronize intentions. When many hearts beat as one, the universe listens with intensified attention. At the threshold of ultimate practice is synthesis. When clear vision, heartfelt feeling, and surrender to timing unite, you access a profound key. A seeker named Kamal traced shadowed symbols that became visible at sunset and found a crystalline sphere holding the essence of creation. He recognized that mastery was not accumulation but alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate in unison with universal law, doors open rapidly and improbabilities collapse into natural outcomes. Visualize a heavy door before you and place your palm upon it, feeling warmth and harmony. Imagine the symbols glowing in answer to your presence and let the door open. Allow the sensation of expansion and the presence of possibility to settle into you as if you have crossed an inner threshold. Remain open to the countless seeds of potential surrounding you. A gardener named Zara mixed seeds from distant lands and tended them without knowing which would thrive. Over time, an ecosystem formed where diverse plants supported one another, and abundance emerged from variety. Likewise, remain receptive to unexpected invitations, chance meetings, and small signs. Each can be the seed of a new path. Keep a daily practice of gratitude for surprise, noting 3 unforeseen opportunities that appeared each day to cultivate appreciation and attentiveness to life's gifts. The art of letting go is a quiet mastery. In a village on rolling hills, a child named Maya cherished a kite given by her grandmother. Every morning she sprinted to the highest ridge, clutching the string as if control alone could keep the kite aloft. The more she tightened her grip, the more it dipped and faltered. One day her grandmother told her that the kite's true flight begins when you trust the wind. Hesitant, Maya loosened her hold and felt the kite rise, soaring higher than she had ever imagined. In that gentle surrender she discovered a universal law: attachment breeds resistance, while trust opens space for natural movement. Your desires ask not for force but for faithful allowance. When you release the need to micromanage outcomes, the intelligence of life can work through circumstances in ways smarter and more expansive than you foresee. A sculptor named Kai learned this lesson with marble. Where others hammered blindly to impose form, he listened to the stone. He approached each block with patience, removing only what concealed what already existed within. When a patron commissioned a masterpiece, Kai moved with calm acceptance rather than frantic control. The resulting work touched viewers because it carried the unforced perfection that emerges when artist and material collaborate. This form of surrender is not passive resignation. It is an active trust that blends clear intention with openness to how the world rearranges itself in response. Practice releasing the tightness around one desire you have held too long. Write it down, then breathe into the sensation of letting go. Repeat the mantra, "I trust divine timing," and release attachment to outcomes, and sense the relief that follows. In this space of freedom, new channels appear. Lasting transformation unfolds through steady, attentive action. An architect named Raphael dreamed of a cathedral that would stand for generations. While others rushed to build quickly, Raphael placed each stone deliberately, confirming its fit with those around it. The cathedral rose not out of speed but out of harmonious alignment. It endured because each component was set with care. Similarly, a farmer named Chen tended a barren plot daily. Small acts of water, pruning, and conversation with the soil. Years of steady devotion turned his land into a thriving orchard that fed a whole community. Grand visions become sustainable when built brick by brick through regular practice. Your dream requires patience and daily tending, not frantic bursts followed by long neglect. Choose one simple ritual that aligns with your desired reality. Perhaps morning contemplation, gratitude journaling, or mindful walking, and commit to it at the same time each day for 40 days. Let consistency be the mortar that anchors your new life into form. There is a current underlying all movement, a cosmic rhythm that invites you to dance rather than to push. A musician named Arya once struggled to compose music that touched listeners. Frustration taught her to listen differently. She tuned into the swaying trees, the pulse of crickets, the hush of starlight, and discovered a vast orchestra constantly playing. Her role changed from creator to receiver. She allowed herself to become an instrument of that larger cadence. In the practice of flow, timing matters more than force. A young surfer named Santos learned to match his motion to the wave rather than fighting it. Once he began to move with the sea's natural pulse, his performance transformed from strain to grace. Life operates similarly. When you align with its timing, you find effort becomes ease. Tomorrow, from sunrise to sunset, observe how events move naturally. Notice when you resist and when you cooperate. Record these moments and ask how you can move with the situation rather than against it. Each entry will reveal ways to ride life's currents with increasing skill. Recognition of unity changes everything. On a high summit, a traveler named Yun witnessed a tapestry of golden threads that connected blade to stone to cloud and star. He perceived how each breath and each thought echoed across the pattern, and how no single action existed in isolation. This vision of interconnection is not poetic embellishment but a practical reality. Your energy touches lives you will never meet and receives influence from distant places through subtle channels. In a quiet grove, a patient spider named Lao wove a web with care, knowing each strand affected the whole. Dew gathered on the silk and revealed a pattern that was both intricate and robust. Similarly, your choices create ripples. Kindness, clarity, and presence contribute to the field of life, strengthening the whole. To feel this connection, sit quietly and imagine a point of golden light at your heart. With each inhale, let threads of light extend outward, connecting you to the earth, the sky, your family, strangers, and the stars. Sense the reciprocal flow as the universe's energy returns through those strands and deepens your awareness of belonging. The journey of growth is perpetual. A traveler named Rahi set out for the legendary city of light, calculating distance and imagining arrival. As the days passed, he noticed details he had previously overlooked: the scent of wildflowers, the sweetness of birdsong, the wisdom found in conversations with others on the road. One dusk he realized that the true prize was not a final city, but the continual expansion of seeing. Each turn of the spiral offered new perspectives and fresh openings. Growth is not a destination to be reached and checked off. It is an endless unfolding where each insight becomes a springboard for further exploration. A gardener named Maya embraced this rhythm, tending an evolving landscape rather than seeking to freeze a single perfect garden. By honoring each season, sprouting, bloom, decay, rest, she found delight in the ever-changing tapestry of life. Your life is a composition, a work you are crafting now. In a sunlit studio, an artist named Amara chose threads carefully, knowing every color influenced the final tapestry. She did not rip out a mistake but wove it into new patterns, discovering that errors become sources of unexpected beauty when integrated skillfully. A potter named Kai treated clay as possibility, shaping vessels with attention and reverence. In each gentle touch, the formless adopted expression. You too weave your existence through choices, thoughts, and gestures. Your beliefs are the base threads, your actions add texture, your intentions provide the light that gives depth. Take a moment now to envision your life as a grand canvas. What colors dominate? Which patterns repeat? What tone do you wish to set for the coming season? Then write a short personal mission statement that begins with the phrase "My life is," and let your heart guide the continuation. Describe the essence you wish to express and the impact you intend to make. This statement will be your compass as you shape each day with intention. Integration requires facing what you have avoided. In a mist-covered highland, a knight named Roland entered a cave rumored to be haunted by a shadow beast. As he ventured inward, the shadow mirrored his movements perfectly. Raising his sword, he saw his fear reflected, and realized the foe he had come to defeat was a part of himself. Doubts, insecurities, and disowned impulses made manifest. Shadow work asks you to notice and accept those parts you have hidden in the dark. When villagers excavated rubble from ruins they initially feared, a child unearthed gold and treasures buried beneath. What once frightened them became the source of renewal. To begin, write down one fear or limiting belief that has guided your choices. Explore how it has shaped your actions and decide on specific steps to integrate or release it. Within each shadow lies a gift waiting to be reclaimed. Silence is a temple where deep knowledge appears. A traveler named Arjun wandered for years seeking answers in scrolls and teachings until he discovered a clearing and a temple composed of perfect quiet. There were no icons, no plates of text, only a vast stillness that seemed to communicate directly. As he sat, the clamor of searching fell away, and understanding arrived without words. Many truths reveal themselves only in the space between thoughts. A sculptor named Maya found that when she ceased striving for inspiration and allowed silent attention, images arose fully formed. To access this inner well, set aside a daily window of uninterrupted quiet. 15 minutes of focused breath will allow your mind to settle and open channels where guidance flows. In the hush, the universe speaks its simplest and most profound truths. Energy organizes life. A healer named Amara learned that some who recovered did so quickly because their energetic centers remained clear. Others lingered in illness where blockages had formed. She saw luminous streams moving through bodies and understood that vitality is the result of harmonious flow. Practices that tune your inner field, visualization of light moving through each center, gentle movement, breath, and sound, restore balance and open the way for greater well-being. Picture a radiant light entering the crown of your head and pouring through your whole system, clearing and enlivening each energy center. Hold this visualization for several minutes and feel the pulse of restored flow. The map to your deepest purpose is written in patterns of being, not on parchment. A traveler named Karim once discovered a delicate scroll carved with interlaced symbols. At first glance it looked like a map of places, but as he lingered with it, he realized it pointed to potential, not geography. The markings traced a design for becoming, revealing threads of talent, longing, and recurring joy that together formed a blueprint for a life lived in alignment. Each person carries a similar architecture within. Moments that make time dissolve, activities that feel effortless, dreams that return despite obstacles. These threads are not random. They point toward your truest work. To hear them, sit in quiet and breathe into your heart. Ask what activities draw you so fully that the world around you fades. Note what brings deep satisfaction, what tasks you naturally return to, and what problems you feel compelled to solve. These fragments form the constellation of your calling and invite you to lean into them. Reprogramming the deeper mind happens through repeated, heartfelt practice. An artist named Rumi learned this truth. He had long struggled to bring life to his canvases until one night he dreamt a voice telling him that the canvas reflects the mind. From then on he began each morning by sitting with a clear image of the finished work, feeling the emotions it would evoke, and holding that inner picture as real. Over weeks and months his hand learned to follow the image so precisely that his outer creations matched his inner vision. The subconscious is a fertile ground that grows what is planted in it. To change your experience, plant new seeds. Choose a concise affirmation in the present tense that stretches you but feels attainable, and repeat it with feeling each morning and night for 21 days. Pair this with sensory visualization, seeing, hearing, and sensing the reality as if it is already here. Through gentle repetition, new neural pathways form and the mind adopts new default settings, allowing the inner landscape to become the scaffold for external change. There is a sacred dance between action and surrender. A dancer named Maya found that her most powerful performances came when disciplined practice met moments of spontaneous letting go. She trained with fierce dedication, shaping her technique, yet she trusted the body to move beyond conscious control when the music called. This balance is the pattern of effective manifestation: clear intention and inspired action followed by a willingness to release the outcome. A fisher named Omar discovered that success came not from unceasing effort, but from aligning his actions with tides, stars, and fish behavior. Some days he cast his nets and others he waited. The timing, not the constant motion, brought abundance. Embrace this rhythm in your work. Identify one passionate goal, act on it with focused steps each day. Then practice short moments of release, trusting the wider intelligence to arrange details beyond your view. This flow between doing and letting be is fertile ground for long-term results. When thought, feeling, and surrender align, manifestation can appear to happen instantly. A wanderer named Karim found a glowing golden key that opened any door he touched. The key's power came not from metal but from a state he maintained: vivid clarity, deep emotional resonance, and complete trust in timing. When you exist in the frequency of your fulfilled desire, clear in thought, full in feeling, and unattached to a fixed timeline, the perceived distance between wish and reality collapses. An inventor named Elena held imagined devices in meditation with such sensory richness that ideas materialized with surprising speed. Practice living in the finished state. Pick one specific outcome and spend time each day experiencing it as present. Notice sounds, textures, conversations, and, above all, the gratitude you would feel. Make this internal experience more tangible than any sense of lack. In that place of alignment, the universe rearranges itself to mirror your inner certainty. Perspective shapes what you can create. A painter named Sophia approached every blank canvas by first immersing herself in the completed image, holding it in mind until it felt impossibly real. Only then did she begin to paint. A sculptor named Marcus saw a majestic bird inside a rough boulder that others dismissed. He worked patiently, removing what hid the form until the eagle seemed ready to lift. Your life is raw material. The masterpiece lies within. When you shift your view from what is lacking to the potential already present in things, transformation becomes inevitable. Choose a present difficulty and imagine the masterpiece contained within it. Hold that vision daily and let your actions be the slow revealing of what always existed under the surface. Collective energy magnifies individual intention. In a mountain valley, isolated families survived by their own means until an elder united them with a simple teaching: individual streams combine into a river. They shared land, skills, and support and discovered harvests richer than any single garden had produced. When minds and hearts tune to a shared aim, the result surpasses what anyone could accomplish alone. Whether through small groups or wider communities, aligning intention with others amplifies influence. Seek companions who resonate with your aims and create regular times to synchronize focus. Together your efforts become a current that moves reality more powerfully than solitary striving. The most potent key appears when three elements meet. In a sun-baked desert, a seeker named Kamal found a hidden door whose symbols only revealed themselves at the right hour. Inside a crystal sphere he perceived not secrets stored externally, but the convergence of clear vision, full emotional resonance, and quiet surrender to timing. This synthesis opens doors that remain closed to partial efforts. When you hold an idea with crystalline clarity, feel its completion in your body, and trust the unfolding without frantic grasping, you access a channel where manifestation accelerates. Practice this synthesis by visualizing a door before you, placing your palm upon it, and feeling symbols come alive beneath your touch. Let the door open inwardly as a sensation of permission and possibility, rather than a literal threshold. Allow that feeling to integrate into your system. Remain open to unexpected pathways. Abundance often arrives through diversity and surprise. A gardener named Zara planted seeds gathered from varied regions with no certainty which would thrive. Over seasons, a thriving ecosystem emerged where plants supported one another in ways she did not anticipate. Similarly, a sailor named Hassan learned hidden routes by listening to seabirds and wind when the stars were obscured. He discovered harbors rich with trade and life by following signs others ignored. Keep a daily practice of noting 3 unforeseen opportunities that appeared in your day. Cultivate gratitude for these detours and invitations. They are often the seeds of transformative paths when met with readiness and curiosity. Anchor your new reality through patient consistency. An architect named Raphael and a farmer named Chen built lasting works through steady practice, placing stones carefully, tending saplings daily. Grand designs require time, day-by-day attention, and rituals that root the vision into ordinary life. Choose one practice that supports your intended reality and repeat it at the same time every day for 40 days. Let these small acts accumulate into a foundation that holds your future with reliability. Flow with the rhythms that surround you. A musician named Arya and a surfer named Santos both learned to move with, not against, natural cadence. The music of leaves, the timing of waves. Observe your day tomorrow from sunrise to sunset and notice where flow occurs and where resistance arises. Record these moments and ask how you can shift from forcing to receiving. Each observation teaches you to ride life's currents with increasing ease and grace. The woven map of existence reveals itself as unity when attention turns outward and inward at once. In a mist-wreathed summit a seeker named Yun climbed until the clouds parted and the world unfolded beneath him like a network of golden threads connecting every stone, blade of grass, and star. In that instant he saw how each breath and thought sent ripples through an immense web, how actions never truly end with themselves but weave into the larger fabric of life. This realization changed how he moved in the world. Every choice acquired weight, every kindness multiplied unseen. Understanding this web invites you to act with care, knowing your energy touches places you may never witness. In a shaded grove a spider named Lao crafted a web with deliberation, aware that each strand affected the whole. As morning dew settled the pattern glowed with reflected light and demonstrated how a single delicate connection helps sustain the entire structure. So it is with intention. Small, considered threads of attention accumulate into durable networks of influence. Practice feeling your connection by closing your eyes, placing awareness in your chest, and imagining threads of light extending outward to loved ones, neighbors, distant strangers, animals, and the sky itself. Sense how energy returns along those lines and how the field of life brightens as you offer clarity, compassion, and steady attention. The path of awakening is endless rather than finite. A traveler named Rahi set out to find a city of light and, along the route, discovered that the real treasure was the way perception deepened with each step. He noticed birdsong he had not heard before. He lingered over scents and small conversations that previously passed unnoticed, and his heart widened as his awareness expanded. The journey itself became the prize. Just as a river never stops flowing, your development moves in spirals, each loop revealing new subtleties and deeper understanding. There is no single summit where growth ends. There are only successive edges that invite further exploration. A gardener named Maya tended a dynamic plot that changed with seasons rather than attempting to create a static paradise. She welcomed the emergence of new shoots, celebrated abundance, honored decay, and trusted winter's rest. Her delight came from being present to each phase rather than clinging to a perfect image. This practice teaches that the spiritual path is a living, breathing process. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to expand. Each insight is a doorway to further questions. Take a moment to journal about 3 significant shifts you have experienced recently. Describe how these changes widened your view, and name one practice you will keep to nourish continued expansion. Let this reflection remind you that the greatest reward is participation in the unfolding itself. Creativity is an act of devotion. In a sun-filled atelier, an artist named Amara selected threads with precise intent, knowing the final tapestry would depend on the tone she set with each choice. When mistakes arose, she wove them into new patterns rather than ripping work apart, discovering unexpected beauty in what at first looked like error. A potter named Kai treated clay as a living possibility. With practiced hands, he coaxed vessels from shapeless matter, honoring its nature while gently guiding form. Your life is likewise an artwork in progress. Each thought, decision, and action is a thread added to the whole. You need not force perfection. Attend with presence and intention, and allow the interplay of plan and emergence to craft richness. Shadow work is part of creative completion. A knight named Roland entered a cave to confront a monstrous shadow, only to find his own fears mirrored in its moves. He realized the adversary he had come to slay was a neglected aspect of himself. In confronting and integrating those parts, he reclaimed energy and discovered strengths previously hidden. When a village excavated ruins they feared, treasures emerged beneath the rubble, and their fear transformed into possibility. Look inward and name one limiting belief or persistent fear that has shaped recent choices. Describe how it has influenced your actions and list one practical step you can take to begin integrating or releasing that pattern. Remember, within the shadow there often lies a gift waiting to be recovered. Silence is a source of direct knowing. A traveler named Arjun wandered in search of wisdom until he found a temple composed of perfect stillness. There were no scriptures to read, no icons to analyze, only a presence that conveyed understanding without words. As his mind quieted, insight arrived naturally. Many of the deepest teachings are accessed not through accumulation but through the space between thoughts. Create a daily temple of silence by setting aside 15 minutes for uninterrupted quiet. Focus on the breath and simply allow thoughts to rise and fall. In that silence, the universe often speaks through impressions, images, and gentle clarity. Energy shapes health and outcomes. A healer named Amara saw luminous currents flowing through living bodies and perceived that blockages often manifested as illness or stagnation. She learned to guide energy, clear obstructions, and restore harmonious flow. Think of your body as enveloped by a subtle field. When it moves freely, you experience vitality and creativity. When it stagnates, you encounter resistance and dis-ease. Practice a simple visualization. Imagine a warm light entering through the crown of your head and streaming downward, illuminating each center of your being and sweeping away congestion. Hold this image for several minutes and feel the subtle shift toward balance. Each person carries a unique design, an inner blueprint of purpose. A traveler named Karim found a scroll whose markings reflected not land but potential, interconnected patterns of gifts, longings, and tendencies pointing toward a particular life expression. To access your blueprint, settle into your heart and ask which activities absorb you to the point that time fades, which problems you feel drawn to solve, and what dreams persist despite obstacles. Write 3 intentions that align with that inner architecture and regard them as invitations rather than demands. Allow the blueprint to unfold through practice and patient listening. The subconscious rewires through consistent practice. An artist named Rumi learned to seed his inner mind with vivid images, feelings, and affirmations until his outer works mirrored the inner vision. Repetition in the right direction lays new neural pathways and changes what feels default. Choose a single affirmation that affirms a felt possibility and repeat it with conviction morning and night for 21 days. Combine that repetition with sensory-rich visualization so the mind learns the state as actual. Observe small shifts as the inner soil tilts toward new growth. Action and surrender are a sacred duet. A dancer named Maya trained rigorously and then surrendered to spontaneous movement. A fisher named Omar balanced careful study with patient waiting and found that correct timing amplified effort. Identify one priority and take a focused step toward it each day, then practice releasing attachment to the result. This combination of inspired doing and intentional letting opens space for intelligence beyond personal will to operate on your behalf. When clarity, feeling, and timing align, manifestations accelerate. A seeker named Kamal traced a door's symbols that became visible at sunset and found a crystalline sphere containing an essence of creation. He understood that alignment of mind, heart, and trusting release functions like a master key. Practice this synthesis by visualizing a threshold of possibility, placing your inner hand on its surface, and feeling symbols respond until an internal door opens. Let the sensation of permission settle into your system and move outward through your deeds. Remain open to diverse possibilities. A gardener named Zara planted varied seeds and found them supporting one another in unexpected harmony. A sailor named Hassan followed seabirds and found hidden harbors when common guidance failed him. Keep a daily gratitude practice, naming 3 unanticipated openings that surfaced during your day. By honoring such surprises, you train your attention to notice the countless channels through which life presents opportunities. Anchor your new reality with steady rituals. An architect named Raphael and a farmer named Chen built lasting results through careful, daily commitment. Choose one practice that supports your vision and perform it at the same time each day for 40 days. Let the accumulation of small, consistent acts serve as the scaffolding for durable transformation. Flow with life's rhythms rather than against them. A musician named Arya tuned into the song of leaves and crickets. A surfer named Santos learned to move with the sea. Observe your day and notice moments of flow and resistance, Then ask how to shift toward greater participation. Each small adjustment refines your ability to move with grace. Finally, remember that your life is a living masterpiece in progress. An artist named Amara chose colors and textures with intention and welcomed unforeseen patterns as enhancements. A potter named Kai shaped clay into vessels of beauty through gentle persistence. Begin a short practice. Envision your life as a living canvas and write a concise mission statement that begins with "My life is" and continues with the essence you intend to express. Keep this statement as a daily guide and let your actions weave the threads that will become your legacy. The recognition that every thought and action threads through a vast web changes how you move each day. In a mountain valley, a wise elder named Yun climbed until the mist parted and a tapestry of light revealed itself beneath his feet. He perceived golden filaments connecting every stone, blade of grass, and distant star. In that instant he understood that nothing exists alone. A single breath, a passing word, a small decision, all of them ripple outward, touching lives and circumstances far beyond immediate sight. This vision did not lead him to paralysis but to care. Knowing his influence traveled farther than he could measure made him choose kindness, clarity, and intention more often. In a shaded grove, a patient spider named Lao devoted meticulous attention to each silk strand as he wove. Dew settled on the threads at dawn and the web glowed, a delicate network whose strength lay in the thoughtful placement of every filament. Lao's work demonstrates how small, consistent acts of attention accumulate into resilient structures. Consider your intentions like those strands. Close your eyes and place awareness in the center of your chest. Imagine threads of soft light extending outward to your family, friends, neighbors, and to those you will never meet. Sense how energy flows back along each thread, strengthening and being strengthened in turn. This practice shifts perception from separation to participation. You are not a solitary point, but an active note in a living composition. The journey of awakening is not designed to reach a final summit, but to expand in spirals. A traveler named Rahi set out searching for a legendary city of light, expecting arrival to mark completion. Along the way he noticed subtle wonders, birdsong he had never heard, nuances of scent and color that opened new feelings, and conversations with strangers that revealed insights he did not know he needed. One evening, he realized the city mattered less than how much his eyes had been trained to notice. Growth, like a river, keeps moving. Each bend invites new discovery. This understanding dissolves the pressure to finish and replaces it with curiosity and tenderness toward each new threshold. A gardener named Maya tended a plot that shifted with the seasons rather than trying to freeze it in an imagined perfection. She welcomed the first tender shoots in spring, celebrated abundant bloom in summer, honored the letting go in autumn, and accepted the rest of winter. Her joy grew from participating in cycles rather than clinging to static ideals. This rhythm applies to inner work. Progress arrives in waves, not as a linear climb. When old habits re-emerge, see them as part of the ebb and flow, opportunities to practice with new insight rather than reasons to judge yourself harshly. Creativity reveals itself when you treat life as material to work with rather than a problem to solve. In a sunlit studio, an artist named Amara chose each thread with attention, knowing the tone of the final tapestry would be determined by small daily selections. When a mistake appeared, she did not unravel months of labor, but wove the error into a fresh pattern that made the whole more interesting. A potter named Kai caressed clay until forms emerged that honored the material's nature. These examples show that artful living is less about controlling outcomes and more about coaxing possibilities into being. You can practice this by approaching one routine task as if it were a brushstroke. What intention will you bring to it today, and how will that choice shape the larger design of your life? Integration asks you to meet that which you have avoided. A knight named Roland entered a cave to confront a terrifying shadow, only to discover the figure mirrored his own movements. The beast held parts of him he had hidden away, fears, unexamined anger, shame, and in recognizing the mirror he reclaimed energy. Likewise, a village that once feared its ruined temples began to unearth treasures beneath the rubble when children were willing to explore what elders avoided. Shadow work is not an exercise in self-criticism. It is a retrieval project where the qualities you disown often contain strengths misapplied or misunderstood. Name one recurring fear or limiting belief that has shaped your recent decisions. Describe how it has influenced choices and list a small, tangible step you can take this week to meet it differently. Even modest acts of acknowledgement begin the integration process. Silence is a fertile field where the most precise guidance takes root. A traveler named Arjun wandered across lands in search of scripture and teaching until he sat in a clearing where perfect quiet filled the air. There were no texts, no elaborate rites, only a stillness that seemed to speak directly. As his mind settled, insight appeared without argument. Direction arrived as clarity rather than as noise. Many of the most meaningful messages from life come in the spaces between thoughts. To cultivate this capacity, create a daily temple of silence. Block out 15 minutes and focus on steady breath. Let thoughts arise and pass without chasing them. In this quiet, the deeper mind often surfaces impressions, images, and a felt sense of right next steps that feel lighter and truer than solutions born from anxiety. Your vitality is shaped by the quality of the energy that surrounds and animates you. A healer named Amara perceived luminous currents flowing through bodies and knew that blockages showed up as stagnation, illness, or ongoing struggle. She learned to guide these currents with breath, touch, movement, and visualization. Imagine warm light entering through the crown of your head and streaming down through each center of your body, clearing and enlivening as it moves. Hold the image for several minutes and sense the subtle shift in tone, like sunlight pushing back morning chill. Regular attention to energy habits keeps the channels open and amplifies resilience, creativity, and capacity to receive. Each person carries an inner architecture, a blueprint of potential. A traveler named Karim found a scroll that at first seemed geographic but gradually became a map of becoming, a design of aptitudes, longings, and persistent callings that together indicate what a life guided by purpose would look like. Your blueprint reveals itself through activities that absorb you, problems you return to solve, and dreams that keep reappearing despite obstacles. Sit quietly and ask which tasks make time disappear, which topics you return to naturally, and where your curiosity consistently points. Record 3 intentions that align with these discoveries and treat them as invitations to practice rather than mandates. Trust the blueprint to unfold through engagement and patient listening. The subconscious is a garden that grows whatever seeds you plant. An artist named Rumi learned to sit each morning and hold a vivid image of a completed work, feeling the emotions it would create. Over time, his hands learned to follow the inner picture until the outer canvas matched the inner vision. Repetition rewires the mind. Speaking a positive, present-tense affirmation daily and pairing it with sensory-rich visualization builds new neural pathways that become default ways of perceiving. Choose one affirmation that resonates and repeat it with feeling for 21 days, morning and night. Notice small shifts in perception and opportunity as the inner soil tilts toward new growth. Action paired with surrender creates fertile ground. A dancer named Maya balanced fierce discipline with moments of yielding, which allowed movements to arise spontaneously and carry authentic presence. An experienced fisher named Omar learned that success depended as much on patient waiting as on precise effort. Choose one priority and take a focused step each day, then practice releasing attachment to the result. Allow the intelligence beyond your personal will to arrange details you cannot foresee. This rhythm eases strain and opens channels for support. When clarity of thought, depth of feeling, and willingness to release timing converge, extraordinary openings often follow. A seeker named Kamal traced symbols that only appeared at sunset and found a crystalline sphere that seemed to hold the essence of creation itself. He understood that alignment in thought, feeling, and timing functions like a master key. Practice this synthesis by imagining a door of possibility, placing your inner hand upon its surface, and feeling ancient symbols glow in response. Let the image open inwardly as a sensation of permission, acceptance, and readiness. Carry that feeling with you as you take daily steps. Alignment often precedes visible shifts. Remain open to the unexpected. A gardener named Zara planted seeds gathered from many regions without a clear plan and discovered a flourishing ecosystem where unlikely allies supported one another. A sailor named Hassan trusted signs from seabirds and currents and found hidden harbors others missed. Each day note 3 unforeseen opportunities or small surprises that appeared. Express genuine gratitude for them. This practice trains your attention to notice the myriad channels through which life brings offerings. Anchor new realities with steady rituals. An architect named Raphael and a farmer named Chen built enduring works through patient repetition, placing stones with care, tending young trees each morning. Choose one daily practice that supports your vision and commit to it for 40 days. Small, consistent acts become the structure that holds larger change. Finally, remember that your life is a living work in progress. An artist named Amara selected materials thoughtfully, allowed imperfections to become new motifs, and wove a tapestry that honored both intention and surprise. A potter named Kai coaxed vessels from clay through steady hands and gentle attention. Begin now. Imagine your life as canvas and write a concise statement that starts with the words "my life is" and continues with the essence you choose to express. Keep that phrase before you as a guide and let your daily choices weave it into being. The final measure of mastery is not in grand proclamations but in consistent practice and the way you bring presence to ordinary moments. In a hidden valley, a weaver named Amara sat each morning by her loom and chose threads with careful intent. She knew that over time the smallest selections determined the tapestry's voice. When knots and errors appeared, she did not tear the work apart. Instead, she wove them into new patterns that enriched the whole. This daily devotion taught her patience and the art of composing a life that welcomes imperfection as a source of creative surprise. Your days are the warp and weft of a larger design. The choices you repeat shape the texture of your future. Treat small acts as sacred and let their accumulation reveal the life you intend. Communities amplify possibility. A cluster of mountain families survived harsh winters by pooling resources and skills after an elder reminded them that many small streams form a river. By cultivating shared gardens, exchanging crafts, and supporting work across households, They discovered abundance beyond what isolation could provide. Collective intention creates a field that moves more than any single mind can. Seek out those whose aims resonate with yours and form circles of steady practice, whether through shared meditation, joint projects, or mutual accountability. When people gather with aligned focus, the invisible current grows, carrying each person farther than they could go alone. There is a key that opens deeper levels of practice when thought, feeling, and surrender align perfectly. An old seeker named Kamal found this key in a desert temple where shaded symbols became visible in the light of a certain hour. In the center of a hidden chamber floated a crystalline sphere that seemed to hold the architecture of possibility itself. Kamal realized the sphere did not grant power from without. It revealed how inner alignment functions as an instrument. Clear vision focused like a laser, wholehearted feeling that animates the intention, and a quiet readiness to yield to divine timing. The meeting of these three elements creates a resonance that accelerates manifestation. Practice this at the start of your day. Breathe deeply. Refine a single clear image of what you wish to see, feel the emotion of its arrival, and release the tight grip on when and how it must occur. Let this synthesis become your steady posture. Remain open to life's unexpected avenues. A gardener named Zara gathered seeds from many places and planted them without certainty which would thrive. Over seasons her patch became an ecosystem where plants supported each other in surprising ways, and what once looked like chance revealed a hidden pattern of mutual flourishing. Similarly, a sailor named Hassan trusted small signs, bird flight or a subtle change in wind, rather than rigid routes, and found hidden harbors brimming with new possibilities. Habitually noticing unforeseen openings primes you to act when opportunities appear. Each evening write down 3 unexpected events from your day and acknowledge the doors they opened. Gratitude for surprise trains your attention to detect the nuanced ways the universe invites you forward. Anchor your life through steady rituals. An architect named Raphael and a farmer named Chen built durable creations by tending day after day, placing stones carefully, pruning young trees with quiet hands. Lasting change rarely arrives through a single act, it arrives through repetition carried with intention. Choose one practice that supports your vision and commit to it at the same time each day for 40 days. Make it simple and sustainable. 5 mindful breaths each morning, a short gratitude journal at dusk, a walk that grounds you before work. These small acts accumulate into a foundation that holds larger dreams. Flow with the natural rhythm rather than against it. A musician named Arya learned to hear the underlying melody of wind and leaves. A surfer named Santos learned to move in concert with the wave rather than trying to bend it. Observe tomorrow when events unfold and mark where you resist and where you move with ease. Ask what small shift in attitude would allow you to ride the current rather than fight it. Over time, these adjustments become a way of operating rather than a temporary strategy. Honor the unity of the field. A traveler named Yun stood on a mountaintop and saw strands of golden light connecting every living thing. He felt how each breath, each word, moved through that web. This sense of interconnectedness changes how you live by making each small choice matter more. Practice a brief meditation to extend threads of light from your heart to others and to the world. Sense the return of energy and let it inform your actions with humility and care. Remember that growth is ongoing. A traveler named Rahi discovered that the journey itself held the gifts he had sought in a distant city. Each step deepened his perception and expanded his capacity to see beauty. There is no final arrival. There are only new thresholds. Embrace learning as a lifelong dance. In your journal, note 3 recent insights and 1 practice you will maintain to support continued growth. Create with mindful intention. A weaver and a potter both showed that beauty emerges when attention and acceptance meet. Approach a routine task today as an act of art. Infuse it with intention and notice how the quality of the day shifts. Over weeks, these moments collect into a life that feels alive and purposeful. Integrate the shadow. Confront the aspects you have hidden and reclaim them as sources of strength. A knight who faced a shadow in a cave found the figure mirrored his own movement and through acknowledgement reclaimed lost power. Reflect on a limiting belief that shaped a choice and list 1 small action to meet it differently. Reclaiming these parts enriches creativity and frees energy for new forms. Cultivate silence. Many answers appear in the space between thoughts. Build a daily temple of silence, 15 uninterrupted minutes each day of watchful breath. In the quiet, impressions, images, and a soft guidance will often arrive, clearer and truer than frantic reasoning. Let silence become a regular companion, not an occasional resort. Attend to your energy. Visualize light entering your crown and sweeping through each energy center, clearing congestion and restoring flow. Practice this visualization frequently and adopt small habits, breathwork, gentle movement, time outdoors that keep your field vibrant. When energy flows, life flows. Connect with your blueprint. The inner map of purpose reveals itself through activities that absorb you and problems you return to solve. From this place, choose 3 intentions that align with who you are and treat them as experiments rather than commands. Allow them to evolve through practice. Reprogram the mind through repetition. Select 1 present tense affirmation and repeat it with feeling each morning and night for 21 days while pairing it with sensory visualization. Watch how small changes in internal habit shift your perception and open new opportunities. Balance action with surrender. Take 1 focused step daily toward a chosen goal and then release attachment to the result. This rhythm invites intelligence beyond personal will to arrange details you cannot foresee. When clarity, feeling, and surrender harmonize, extraordinary openings often follow. Practice placing your inner hand on a symbolic door, feeling its ancient symbols glow, and allow the sensation of permission and readiness to root in your body. Stay open to surprise and cultivate gratitude for unexpected opportunities. Anchor new realities through steady rituals. Flow with life's rhythms and honor the unity that connects all things. Keep learning, and let your days be the material through which you weave a grand and meaningful tapestry. A final phase of mastery unfolds when the small practices become the texture of your days and the teachings move from theory into living habit. Imagine a valley where seasons pass in clear, ordered cycles, and a gardener named Zara moves through each with steady devotion. She does not race toward harvest, nor does she cling to any single bloom. Instead, she tends, pruning, watering, whispering encouragement to seedlings, and over time the soil changes character. What once resisted becomes receptive, and abundance follows not as a surprise but as the natural consequence of daily care. This steady attention is the quiet work of mastery, the accumulation of small, deliberate acts that shape the future you inhabit. In another place, a musician named Arya discovered that greatness is rarely a single ascendant moment. Her practice was modest at first: 10 minutes of listening, 5 minutes of breath, humble repetition of a phrase until it settled into her bones. Years later, listeners felt moved by what seemed effortless, unaware of the long string of repeated choices that had made the music possible. The same applies to your life. Greatness emerges from cumulative consistency. Choose today a practice so small you can commit to it without strain. Repeat it tomorrow and the day after. Over months, the compound effect will become evident. Your attention refines, your habits reorganize, and doors that once appeared closed begin to reveal seams. Communities remain a source of amplified possibility. When people gather with clear purpose and gentle persistence, a field of shared momentum develops that moves beyond what any single person could do alone. Think of a circle of neighbors who meet each week to tend a shared garden. Each brings a small gift: time, seeds, a watering can, and together they create more than the sum of their parts. The power of such gatherings lies in the regularity of intention and the shared commitment to a common aim. Seek out or create circles that match your values. Invest in them not just with words but with steady presence. Over time, the group becomes a living engine that amplifies each member's reach, offering both practical resources and subtle energetic support. There is a moment when inner alignment feels like a key turning. In a remote temple, a seeker sat until the light through a slit revealed symbols that had been invisible. In that hour, the chamber felt as if it were answering back, an interplay of attention and response, of inner frequency meeting outer pattern. You will recognize similar moments when thoughts, feeling, and surrender lock into a single tone. Perhaps you will experience sudden clarity on a long-stalled decision, feel a compassionate warmth for another where bitterness once sat, or find a new project unfolding with unexpected ease. These are not accidents, they are the fruit of repeated practice. To invite them, create a morning routine that includes a brief quieting of the mind, a clear intention voiced with feeling, and a small action that aligns your body with that intention. This triad repeatedly practiced trains both nervous system and subtle field to move in harmony. Remain open to surprise. Life seldom produces only the outcomes you conceptualized. Often it returns gifts in forms you did not recognize at first. A sailor who sets out for a particular harbor may discover an unexpected cove that holds new resources, and a partnership that began as a simple exchange of favors might evolve into a deep collaboration that shifts both parties' trajectories. When you cultivate appreciation for what appears unplanned, you tune your attention to opportunities rather than losses. End each day by noting 3 small, unexpected events that felt like openings rather than obstacles. This practice rewires perception so that novelty becomes a teacher and the unanticipated becomes a kind of ally. Anchor growth with rituals that fit your rhythm. Whether a short morning breath practice, a regular time for creative work, or a nightly moment of gratitude, rituals create scaffolding for sustained change. The specifics matter less than the consistency and the mind you bring to them. Treat these practices as non-negotiable meetings with your future self. Over the course of 40 days, such rituals move from effort to habit, and habit becomes the quiet engine that carries your larger intentions forward. Flow remains an understated ally. People who master their lives learn to notice shifts in timing and to adjust accordingly. A painter waits when the light is wrong and moves quickly when color opens. A negotiator listens until the room is ready and then speaks with a precise tone that fosters agreement. Your capacity to move with timing rather than against it will save energy and produce better outcomes. Practice noticing the mood of a situation before acting. Ask a simple internal question: is now the time to push or the time to wait? Allow the answer to be felt more than thought, and let that feeling inform your next step. Integration of shadow material completes the creative cycle. We all carry parts we have hidden because they were judged unacceptable, awkward, or dangerous. In a cave, a warrior recognized his mirror image and saw the fear he had projected onto opponents. In meeting that reflection, he reclaimed compassion and strength that had previously been expended on blame and avoidance. When you bring light to a hidden part of yourself, the energy once bound in avoidance becomes available for creation. Begin with a single gentle act. Notice a recurring reaction that carries discomfort and ask without drama what it wants you to see. Meet it with curiosity. Note one small behavioral change that aligns with a healthier response, and repeat. Over time, the shadow shrinks its dominion and reveals gifts such as courage, creativity, or the capacity for deeper intimacy. Silence and listening are wells you can return to again and again. The most precise answers rarely shout. They arrive like a soft nudge, a phrase that seems to have always been on the edge of thinking. Build a daily time of quiet and treat it as a laboratory. Bring a question without forcing an answer. Sit with breath and wait. Often after several minutes, an image, a phrase, or a felt direction will rise. Record these impressions and test them in small action. The feedback loop of quiet, note, and trial refines your sensitivity and reveals guidance that accumulates into a robust inner map. Work with energy as you work with skill. Health, relationships, and productivity all respond to the state of your inner field. Visualizations, breathwork, movement, and restorative rest keep energy circulating rather than congesting. Imagine the sensation of light entering through the crown of your head and streaming downward, clearing each center. Use this simple practice as a daily reset. Combined with basic physical care, sleep, hydration, movement, it becomes a powerful tool for maintaining clarity and resilience. Remember the blueprint embedded in your impulses. The activities that absorb you, the problems you return to, and the dreams that persist are not random. They point toward a pattern. Treat the pull of these elements as invitations to experiment rather than obligations to perfection. Choose 3 intentions aligned with these indications and regard them as long-form projects. Work to be refined across years rather than instant achievements. Keep the tone curious and exploratory. Reprogramming the mind through repetition remains one of the most practical tools available. Select a single present tense affirmation and repeat it with feeling morning and night for 21 days. Pair the repetition with sensory visualization so that the nervous system learns the state as if it were real. Small internal shifts compound into new default patterns and change the set of opportunities you perceive. Balance action with surrender as a daily rhythm. Take focused, inspired steps toward your aims and then practice intentional release. This does not mean passivity. It means acknowledging your limits and opening to intelligence beyond your immediate grasp. The result is less friction and a greater sense of alignment. When thought, feeling, and timing align, doors that once seemed immovable begin to open. These moments are not magic. They are the visible signal that alignment has taken place beneath the threshold of ordinary awareness. Learn to recognize them and to ride them without attempting to force more than the current supports. Cultivate a habit of gratitude for the small and the strange. The universe speaks in many languages, through meetings, delays, sudden insights, and minor synchronicities. Gratitude tunes the field to notice rather than to overlook. Each night list 3 moments that felt like signs or small mercies, and allow the feeling of appreciation to settle in your body. This practice changes perception, drawing your attention toward possibility. Finally, frame your life as a work of art made in daily strokes. An artist does not wait for a flawless chapter before continuing. They choose color, test a structure, and revise. Practice choosing one small tasteful act each day that expresses the essence you want your life to convey. Over time, these acts will join into a coherent composition. You are not starting from nothing. The principles held in this teaching are an invitation to reclaim what has always been present inside you: the capacity to direct attention, to cultivate feeling, to act with clarity, and to release with trust. When you fold these practices into the ordinary texture of your life, transformation follows not as a dramatic event, but as the steady emergence of a new way of being. The final passages of this teaching invite you to live as an artist of your own existence, seeing each day as a chance to express a deeper truth. Imagine a phoenix in an ancient grove that spent centuries soaring among the stars. When the moment of renewal arrived, it welcomed the flame that reduced its form to ash, and from that seeming end rose anew, more radiant and spacious than before. Its rebirth carried all lessons collected across time and yet opened toward infinite possibility. Your path mirrors this pattern. Endings enfold beginnings, and each transformation gathers past wisdom while releasing attachment to how the next chapter must unfold. When daily practice becomes ordinary, transformation becomes inevitable. A gardener who tends soil with constant care notices the land shifting gently over seasons. A musician whose fingers repeat the same phrase until it settles into muscle memory finds that what once required effort now flows from an inner ease. The secret lies not in dramatic overhaul, but in the steady accumulation of intentional acts. Choose a modest practice you can honor every day and let the compound effects carry you forward. Small daily alignments with your values are the foundations upon which extraordinary lives are built. Remember also that mastery moves in spirals rather than straight lines. You will return to themes, revisit old questions, and encounter familiar challenges with new insight. This cyclical movement is not failure, but maturation. Each repetition carries you to a slightly higher vantage point where earlier lessons reveal deeper layers. Embrace the return and be curious about what the familiar shows you now. A traveler who circles a mountain will notice details missed on the first pass and discover that the view changes as light shifts and inner clarity grows. Do not underestimate the power of community. The work of solitary practice bears fruit faster and more richly when shared, because collective attention creates currents impossible to generate alone. A group of neighbors who meet to tend a shared garden create a field that converts individual effort into communal abundance. Seek people who reflect your aims and commit to regular meetings where intention is renewed, progress is witnessed, and accountability is gentle yet firm. The rhythm of shared focus multiplies possibility and provides a network of resources and care in seasons of difficulty. Be attentive to alignment of thought, feeling, and timing. When clear vision is coupled with deep emotion and a willingness to release precise control, doors begin to open in ways that feel effortless. These moments often arrive as a resonance in the body, a felt permission, a sudden clarity, and ease of movement. Cultivate a simple morning ritual that quiets the mind, sets a singular intention, and asks the body to take one small aligned step. That triad, quiet, intent, action, repeats again and again until it shapes a habit that aligns the nervous system, emotion, and attention. Stay open to surprises. The universe often responds to readiness rather than plan. Opportunities will come dressed in forms you might not expect: a chance conversation, a slight delay that keeps you from harm, a sudden resource from an unlikely source. Train yourself to notice and to receive with gratitude. Each evening list 3 small, unexpected openings and allow the feeling of appreciation to settle into the body. This practice tunes your awareness to the rich seam of possibility that runs through ordinary life. Anchor your aspirations through simple rituals. Consistent practice is the scaffolding under which vision grows. Whether you choose 5 minutes of breathwork in the morning, a brief journaling habit at dusk, or a focused action hour in the middle of the day, make it regular and non-negotiable for a period of 40 days. Rituals create a container that steadies intention and signals the nervous system that you are committed. Over time, these acts move from effort to ease and become the outward habits that hold your inner transformation. Flow with the timing of life. Learn to sense whether a situation calls for decisive action or patient observation. A painter waits for light, a sailor reads the wind. Ask the simple question before each significant move: is now the time to push or the time to allow? Feel the answer rather than overthink it, and let that felt sense guide your next step. This practice will save energy and help you appear at the right moments with the right contribution. Engage the shadow with compassion. The parts of you that have been denied or disowned often hold potency and direction. When you meet a buried fear or a reflexive response without blame, you reclaim energy that fuels creativity and relationship. Start with curiosity. Notice a recurring reaction, ask what it protects, and invite it into conversation rather than exile. Small steps of tenderness toward hidden parts gradually free the energy bound in avoidance and turn resistance into resource. Cultivate silence as a daily sanctuary. The clearest guidance often arrives in the space between thoughts. Sit in quiet for 15 minutes each day, breathe slowly, and allow impressions to surface. Note what arises without judgment, and treat these impressions as hypotheses to be tested in small action. Over time, your sensitivity to subtle guidance deepens, and you discover that the inner map you carry is more trustworthy than fleeting noise. Care for your energy field. Health, creativity, and clarity depend on the quality of the subtle field that surrounds you. Use simple practices that renew flow: visualization of light moving through your centers, gentle movement to release stagnation, breath practices that invigorate, and rest that restores. These habits sustain capacity so that inspiration and resilience remain available when challenges arise. Listen for your blueprint. The activities that dissolve the sense of time, the problems you return to solve, and the images that persist despite obstacles reveal the outline of your purpose. Treat these impulses as invitations to experiment. Choose 3 intentions aligned with that inner pattern and regard them as projects requiring patience, curiosity, and revision rather than immediate perfection. Over years, these small experiments accumulate into a life shaped by coherence and meaning. Rewire the mind through consistent repetition. Choose one present tense affirmation that speaks to a felt possibility, and repeat it with emotion morning and night for 21 days while pairing it with sensory-rich visualization. Repetition forms new pathways and shifts what comes easily to you. The mind learns what you rehearse, and the body will follow. Balance doing with surrender as a daily practice. Take focused, inspired steps toward your aims and then release attachment to outcomes. This balanced approach invites intelligence beyond personal will to conspire on your behalf and reduces friction. It is not passivity but wise engagement. Recognize the feel of alignment and honor it. When thought, emotion, and timing line up, you will experience an inner nod of permission. Move with such moments and avoid forcing more than the current supports. These experiences multiply as your sensitivity grows. Practice gratitude for the small and the strange. Appreciate the small mercies, delays that teach, and coincidences that guide. Gratitude alters perception and tunes your field to receive rather than to overlook gifts. Each evening reflect on 3 moments that felt like small mercies and let gratitude resonate physically. Weave your life as a masterpiece, one choice at a time. An artist does not wait for perfect conditions. They take up the brush and choose color, light, and form. Make one tasteful act each day that expresses the essence you intend to cultivate. Over time, these threads join into a coherent tapestry that reflects the life you most want to live. You are not starting from zero. The teachings offered here are an invitation to reclaim capacities already present within you. The ability to direct attention, to harness feeling, to act with clarity, and to release with trust. Fold these practices into ordinary life and notice how transformation emerges not as abrupt miracle, but as steady awakening. The phoenix rises, and so do you, renewed and ready to shape a life that reflects your deepest design.